Hello amigos and welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy III on NES. This is your host, Haste. Alright, so last time we had beaten Bahamut, and today we're going to go fight some more bosses. These, however, are mandatory bosses, story bosses that we need to beat in order to progress through the game. Right, so over north of where we just were over the Nautilus and stuff, that village, I finally found out how to get to that village after this part, so really, there's no excuse for us not to have Haste by this point. Haste is a spell that makes boss fights absolutely ridiculously easy because, well, I'm not really going to cover it right now. We have to get through a couple of random encounters here. I'm just going to keep in all of these airship battles and random encounters because really there's no need to cut them out. They're usually pretty short. Because, I mean, it's not like we have threatening high stamina enemies to deal with here. So while I'm here, talking about things, I was streaming Battletoads last night, and that was a mistake. For those who don't know, I pretty much idolize Proton John and all the good LPers like that, and to be honest, I was watching Proton John's 4-player race of Battletoads and decided, why not? I'm gonna try to play Battletoads. So I decided to, and I got all the way to Arctic Cavern. And then I decided, you know what? I'm gonna stream Battletoads. And if you see a couple of videos of me talking to myself while playing Battletoads, then that's perfectly alright, because you guys love watching me writhe in pain, right? The reason you watch these videos. You madman. Faster, faster, you fool, you fool. Anyway, continuing on. Like I said, most of these enemies aren't terribly threatening. And you see Dawn here has 2 golem staffs equipped. And actually, Raph is going to get a weapon after a job class change. Raph is going to get a weapon that will enable him to pretty much one-hit kill enemies because it can cast full petrification. Pretty much there's 2 different levels of petrification. There's gradual petrification, which requires a couple of uses, but afterwards will eventually kill the enemy to death. And then there's instant petrification, and that's what the Break 2 spell does. Instant, petrification and stone shape and the like is kinda like getting killed, only you can actually buy the item to restore that status. That being said, petrification is also annoying because since it's pretty much like your party members get killed, party members that are petrified miss out on experience points. Therefore, it's a good thing to, if you know that an enemy can cast petrification spells, it's a good idea to beat them before they can beat you. A lot of the flying enemies back when we were in the mountain area near the beginning of the game have petrification as one of the side effects for their attacks. Like how the cockatrice could attack our party members and our party members would suddenly become turned to stone and we'd have to waste a soft item on them. Pretty much the same with any enemy that can cast Break 2. If Break 2 hits, it's going to completely petrify your party member, and one of the bosses we're going to be coming up against can cast Break 2, and he does have a set pattern, mind you. He will cast Quake, Break 2, Drain, and then I think the pattern repeats there. This boss you have to fight right after that has a bit more of a pattern, but still, the patterns aren't anything particular, and because they run by a pattern instead of just randomly using attacks or spamming the same move over and over, like with Garuda using Lightning or Bahamut using Mega Flare, you actually can pretty much predict what the enemy is going to be doing to your party at that point. I mean, if they're running by a party, you know, okay, so I have our pattern, you're pretty much like, okay, so they're going to use such and such spell, I have to prepare for that. Throughout these parts, though, I remember that I called Wall a defensive spell. It kind of is, but Wall is different from the other defensive spell that I was actually thinking of. There's two different defensive spells if I remember correctly. Wall and Safe. Safe, I think, is turned into Protect in later Final Fantasy games, and Wall is Reflect. If you have a party member that has Wall, pretty much your spells, or enemy spells, are going to be bounced back off of them, and your spells can also be bounced off of that party member. There's a strategy to dealing with enemies in the next Final Fantasy game that involves using Reflect, or Wall, or whatever it's called, and then bouncing offensive spells off of it, off of your party members to damage the enemy. Because the enemy will cast Reflect on themselves the first turn. You don't have to do anything crazy like that in this game, obviously. Which is something I'd like to ask, actually. After this LP is over, I wonder, should I LP another RPG? Should I LP, like, Pokemon or Final Fantasy IV or something along the lines of that? I mean, I'm really using Final Fantasy III here as a testing ground. I'm using it as pretty much getting my feet wet into the world of playing through RPGs and doing commentary on that. I mean, because most of what I did before was platformers, and more specifically the 8-bit Mega Man games, and looking back now, I was a bit eager to play those games back then, and I was a bit eager to do things, but that's because I had been watching so many Proton John videos, and I mean, Proton John is pretty much my inspiration for doing this LPing thing, but he was also my foil, pretty much, because I was watching all those Kaizo videos he had uploaded, and how he was pretty much using save states to the left, save states to the right. So, during those old LPs, I was abusing save states like crazy, and I still used save states in this LP too, but that's because this game kind of has a fake difficulty and has the ability to screw you over with a semi-random turn order. So anyway, I go through this up path over here, and I don't even think of going to the left path. I go through this left path, obviously, but I don't even think of going to the other leftward path until it hits me, until I'm through the door and decide, you know what, I'm gonna see if that leftward path goes anywhere, because I really don't want to miss on any equipment. So we have all these random encounters that I'm cutting out and such, and really, the enemies here aren't terribly tough. I mean, they can deal somewhere around 500 damage to your party members, but I mean, nothing really all that powerful. I mean, pretty much all the enemies do here is just physical attacks, and you don't have to worry about them casting some gigantic spell that's going to completely rape all your party members. And likewise, you don't have to worry about them dealing, like, incredible 1000 damage or something, unless you're trying to run away. If so, then remember, if you run away from a fight, if any one of your party members tries to run away from the fight, the entire party's defense suddenly goes down the pooper. So anyway, I pretty much think, should I go back, should I go back, should I go back, and I decide to go back, but I'm taking time here to explain that there is probably something back there, and that I'm going to go back, and that I was going to perform a jump cut. Of course, I'm not going to perform any jump cuts here other than skipping random encounters, because to be quite honest, there's commentary here. I don't need to have gaps in the commentary just to cut down the video length, because I can cut so many of these battles out because I'm doing post-commentary. I'm not, like, talking over them right then and there, I'm talking over them now. I mean, skip a random encounter there, see? So this room literally has nothing in it except for all these skulls. There's no items in this room, there's no hidden passages in this room, and I look around, and I'm looking around for a while, and there's nothing. So I leave in this fight against Nemesises for some reason. Nemesi? I really don't know. You see, that's the problem with things and things like that. It kind of confuses you. But anyway, and even this battle, because Nemesis really isn't an enemy that's worth talking about, but I wanted to keep this battle in anyway, just to give this video something resembling, I don't know, just a tiny bit more length. Alright, so anyway, there's nothing here. I realized my mistake. We have to go through the door. So now we have to go all the way back up, cutting out random encounters as we go. And, yeah, but anyway, my hands were hurting a bit last night. Luckily I used my right hand for drawing and using the mouse and other various things that I'm not gonna mention here, but I mean, because my left wrist was starting to hurt because I was playing Battletoads yesterday. And you may be wondering, why would you ever play Battletoads? I mean, that game is difficult, and you always complain about difficult games. And I'm just like, yeah, I know, but I mean, okay, new enemies we haven't seen, Humbaba and Ogre. I want you to note the sprite inconsistency on Ogre, though, how part of him is green, a greenish yellow, and yet another part of him is an orangish yellow. So, I really don't get what the point of that is. It kind of just looks weird, I mean, but either way, he's dead. And coming up next is another random encounter that I decided to keep in for some reason against a bunch of Cyclopses. Yeah, see, well, it was a back attack, so of course I'd naturally have something to say during back attacks, because, I mean, look at them. Look at them, they're reversed now. It's a totally different fight. Now that they're reversed and my offense becomes defense and my defense becomes offense. So I've pretty much just suddenly switched from an offense-oriented Pokemon to a defense-oriented Pokemon. Isn't that swell? But yeah, these enemies, like, they're really not that difficult. As long as they don't attack you from behind, you shouldn't have a problem. Okay, so anyway. Continuing on, since this is the first of multiple videos in a row that I'm gonna have to do post-commentary on. No. I might as well talk about the boss in advance and the strategy for fighting the boss, since I'm no longer fighting the boss blind to the rules of the NES version. I actually know what I'm doing for once. Which is crazy, but then again, when am I not crazy? I know these bosses like to use, like, spells that can pretty much kill you instantly or set you at low HP regardless, so we go in, and there's Dorga and Unne, and Dorga, now to make the Eureka key complete, you must battle and defeat Unne and I, and me. What? Pretty much, we have to defeat Dorga and Unne here, in a set of battles. Long ago, weapons too powerful were sealed in Eureka, but now those weapons are necessary, and to make the key to enter Eureka, the energy of our battle is needed. So pretty much we have there's no way we could fight you, but there is a way, because Dorga now threatens us, defeat me or die, and pretty much the battle starts from there, and whoa! That's what he really looks like. He looks like a twisted head embryo thing. Right, so like I said, he has a very simple pattern here, and if you give your main offensive party member Godswine, you shouldn't have really that much of a problem. Who did I give the Godswine to? I gave it to Mikey, so we've got a Karateka running now. So we're dealing quite a decent amount of damage. See, he uses Quake here, and Quake deals a fair amount of damage to the entire party. So I use Cure 3, even though that's really not necessary, because the next move he's going to use is an instant death move regardless. Oh, I think actually Dorga does have death in his list of spells, but watch, we deal 2,102 damage just with a physical attack alone, because of what Godswine does, which is cast Haste. Haste increases the attack multiplier, enabling you to get in more hits, and therefore deal more damage. Alright, so now we have to fight Unne, and once again, another predictable pattern, because Unne also follows a pattern. Unne's main strategy is to cast Whirlwind, followed by Wall, followed by Whirlwind again, followed by Blizzard. Blizzard here is totally different from the spell in later Final Fantasy games where Ice is changed to Blizzard. Blizzard here is an all-party targeting spell, and it deals somewhere around 150 damage. That Whirlwind attack that Unne just tried to use on us, it reduces health to a single digit. Alright, so now Unne is going to probably try to cast Wall at this... Yeah, I'm gonna cast Wall at this point. Doesn't really affect our, well, it does kind of affect our ability to, deal damage, but it doesn't really affect Mikey's ability to Punch McDeath Punch, and Unne falls pretty much as easily as Dorga does. I mean, these bosses aren't terribly hard. Once you, learn to cast Haste on your party members... Alright, and we get the sad music here, and the looking back and forth that comes up here and stuff. That's me doing that. I mean, you don't have to look back and forth. I just did to add emotion to that scene. It kind of failed, obviously, but I mean, like... Alright, so now we have the Eureka key here, and we have to stop the one who is summoning the darkness. Xande, ooh. Man, Xande is going to be a fun fight. Xande is pretty easy. But now we also have to take the Silk's key to open the Silk's Tower. Silk's Tower is the last area in the game. Alright, so really there's nothing to do here, so what we do is cast Warp, or Exit. Because Teleport is the actual... And the music changes when you pause and unpause, to completely break the mood. But I mean, what we do here is use Exit and Warp to the outside. That's pretty much it. Although, there's not really that much left that we do in this video, other than buying spells and items. So, when we get to the shops, I'm gonna give you guys a brief overview of what each spell does. So, alright, let's talk to the Moogle that runs the magic... Oh, that's the item shop. We don't really need to go to the item shop, we need to go to the magic shop. The magic shop, ha ha ha! So anyway. Fire 3, highly damaging fire spell. Bio, casts non-elemental damage. Warp, instantly kills an enemy. Arrow 2, deals wind damage. Soft, cures petrification. And Haste, increases the attack multiplier. Arrow 2 is good against flying enemies, obviously, since it's going to deal a large amount of wind-based damage to enemies. And Arrow 2 is actually one of the better offensive spells in the game, believe it or not. It was kind of nerfed in the DS version. Black Magic was a bit more essential in the DS version, but it wasn't really as broken later on. Like, Fire 3 was going to dealt a bit less damage in the DS version, I thought, than it should. But anyway, the video pretty much ends here, so until next time, this is Random Encounter, signing off.